I think Sunday episodes are definitely the best episodes for CSGO news. Not only am I tired, I'm groggy, I'm talking slower than I usually do, but also you guys kind of just get the blunt truth from me. And you're going to hear a lot of truth in today's episode, so I hope you guys don't mind. But let's get into it though. And of course, all of today's stories will be timestamped down below. We have some amazing stories today, but the first of which I didn't talk about in my last episode because it came out during the rendering process. So you know what? I thought I'd wait a couple days to actually get my full thoughts on the brand new update, the huge CSGO update that we actually had hit, and alongside that, the brand new Horizon case. Now, keep in mind as well, this is actually largest gap approaching 6 months. 6 months we actually waited for this Horizon case, so you would have thought that Valve had plenty of time to actually differentiate the skins inside of it from the current skins we have in game, but apparently not. We saw right off the bat, guys, some very similar skins. Now, it's one thing to actually have the same skin on different weapons. Like, for instance, the AK-47 Neon Rider looks pretty cool as compared to the MAC-10 Neon Rider. I don't really have a problem of overflowing skins as long as a skin like the Hyper Beast that did it with the M4A1S and the Op, it looks really cool. If it's a cool skin, it deserves to be on multiple weapons out there, but it does tend to be a problem in my own opinion. And again, there's kind of two sides of the coin here, but it does tend to be a problem when you actually have mirrored skins on the same weapons. That being, of course, this Nova shotgun looks just like the Nova Green Apple, thanks to TDM Jesus. I'll link his video down below. He actually kind of showcased these kind of weapons as well. And of course, on top of that, the most important one, you have the new M4A1S looking just like the Icarus Fell. You would have thought with approaching 6 months, Valve had plenty of time to differentiate these skins from what we currently have in the game. But also, like I said, the two sides of the coin, we have so many cases out there, so many skins in the game now, it's going to be hard going forward with this case and anyone that comes after it to actually differentiate each and every skin on each and every weapon. So I really can't blame Valve too much for that. And of course, on top of that, we had our much needed copyright infringement, our contraband controversy out there ever since the M4A4 HAL. We've seen many a times now. We saw, first of all, of course, with the Griffin, then I think it was the Galil Tsunami or whatever that was. People thought that was going to go contraband. The Griffin didn't, the Tsunami didn't, and this one probably will not either. That, of course, being the Glock Warhawk. But I thought it was really funny as well when you analyze this kind of thing. Someone out there, you kind of got to give him credit though. The creator of this skin, I guess the fake creator of the skin, was smart enough to rip off a small skin out there that he thought no one would find out. Now, I hope he doesn't get into legal trouble because, well, maybe if he does, it'll teach you guys a lesson not to do this in the future, to steal other people's property and put it off as your own. But it is also kind of an amazing story as well because thanks to the Reddit forums, I'll link this Reddit link down below as well, they found the original creators of the Glock Warhawk on a separate weapon that looks just like the Glock itself. And it's kind of cool to see as well, these people probably created this out of nowhere. 2 years ago, I believe it was actually May of 2016, so just about 2 years ago, they created this skin or posted about it, and you can imagine they just kind of did it for fun, and 2 years later, they're probably going to get a call from Valve or an email from Valve saying, hey, by the way, your skin's in this random case of a game you probably don't play, here's a check for $20,000, $30,000. So that's kind of a cool story though, so I guess thanks to the guy who copyright infringed it, they're probably going to be thanking him. I doubt they'll be paying the guy who faked to create it, but still kind of a cool thing to think about. And if you think I'm not going to comment on these knives, you are utterly mistaken. These knives are quite possibly the worst update I've ever seen into the game. Now, you guys can argue with me. Please do. Leave a comment down below if you actually think some of these knives are cool. As of right now, of course, they're all overpriced. But to give you, it just kind of makes me angry to give you guys my reasonings for it. And again, you guys can share your opinions down below. It kind of just, it makes me wonder what Valve is doing over there and why exactly they did this. Also, to clarify, it was actually May of 2017, so just over a year ago, we actually had Wicked Player leak the Ursus knife in the game files. I'll link you guys a screenshot on screen as well from my old video which I made about that, and that was the Ursus knife. So to kind of give you guys hope in the future for like things like the MP5S, which actually is in the game files as well. Of course, the Ursus knife was actually found in the game files over a year ago. It's probably been there ever since, I don't know, probably a long time before that. So there is still hope for things like the MP5S. If those things are in the game files, they have potential to come forward in the future, but how long in the future it's going to be, it might be quite some time. But the Ursus knife drops, of course, alongside 3 others. That was the Navaja, the Talon, and alongside that, the Stiletto. And I have to tell you guys, to be quite honest, I didn't like any single one of them. Of course, the most notable one, the Navaja is just butt ugly. It's like a butterfly, but even worse. The Talon is a ripoff of the Karambit, but now it's overpriced. The Stiletto has no room for a skin pattern. It's like you're a 1970s mobsters in a Counter-Strike game, which is just weird in itself. And again, feel free to share what you guys think about that below. And very lastly as well, you have the Ursus knife, which has a default handle no matter what the pattern is, which I don't know how you think that's actually a good idea after 6 months of development, but that's what's in the game right now. So me personally thinking, especially when you have this kind of reasoning as well, we had knives like the Huntsman, we have knives like the butterfly, the shadow daggers, the Bowie knife, all released one at a time. Okay, shadow daggers might not be the best example because they were most notably known as the butt plugs when they first came out, but things like the Bowie knife, the Huntsman knife they were revealed in such a great manner because they were the first of its kind. They were knives we had never seen in the game. They were huge knives and very cool knives. And then we have this. What you got to really realize, why would Valve release all these knives ever since then, one at a time, and all of a sudden you have 4 knives all in one case? It seems like a pretty ultimate cash grab before the major, and it pretty much means, in my own opinion, they knew all 4 of these knives individually were kind of subpar knives, but group them all together, put them in one case, and that might be, it might be an okay case. So those are my opinions about that. I don't like any of the new knives. I will not be buying any of the new knives at all. I guess skin patterns might look cool on some of them, but still, they seem like ripoffs. They seem like subpar creations. But what do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. But also, very lastly, we of course saw a new Desert Eagle animation, a secret animation, which actually was pretty cool if you guys can get that working in game. It seems like it might take away from you actually trying to aim at your enemy. I can see this happening a lot in clips. If you're trying to actually get the secret animation, all of a sudden someone shows up, you got to cut it short, and all of a sudden you're dead. So, but on top of that, even most importantly as well, besides Panorama now being here officially, we do have a brand new B-bomb site plant sound, which is an amazing feature to the game. I honestly think a lot of pro players out there, a lot of competitive players out there, that's definitely going to help you out and definitely even out the playing field. I think it's kind of an unneeded advantage for the of course the bomb site defenders to actually have that advantage in terms of sound. You could be right next to a bomb site or right down A long and not know exactly where the bomb has been planted. So it's a great thing. The bomb plant sound does sound kind of weird, but it has to be, of course, very different from the previous one to actually notify you which side it is. So some great updates coming to CSGO, some terrible updates coming to CSGO. What do you guys think? And also, in some random news you guys might not have caught on Twitter because a lot of the tweets were deleted, we actually had NIP Chameleon, and also we had Draken, of course, from Fnatic. Go on it on Twitter. Now, of course, Draken, a new acquirement from Fnatic, and probably one of the players on there that's been struggling as of late. I'm not going to say he's a terrible player, but definitely kind of trying to find his way on that roster. He actually took to Twitter, and as we actually had Chameleon and him going back and forth, butting heads, a lot of these tweets were actually deleted afterwards, but unfortunately enough, it was actually Chameleon. And ironically enough, he's a writer for NIP. He wrote the article for NIP when they actually said farewell, and they also acquired Draken, so it was kind of ironic in itself that he's actually now calling him out on Twitter. And of course we had Draken say that Fnatic is better than NIP, and the Chameleon actually replied showing Draken's stats for Fnatic, which is kind of a low blow. And then Draken also replied with this on screen, later deleted as well, and even JW stepped in and said friendly banter. So I think maybe JW being like a bit of the older brother here and saying, you know, I think it's not so friendly anymore, let's calm down, let's reel it back in. And those tweets have been deleted, or at least some of them have been. So that was in some controversy over there. NIP writer trying to take on an actual pro player for Fnatic. I think Draken, I'm with you on this one. And in big Faceit news out there, if you guys were actually watching last week's episodes, we had allegations from Faceit Mikey and Faceit staff themselves. Big allegations out there, actually going to Twitter without even talking to the team themselves about this. They went forward to Twitter and actually posted a long story about apparently Nemiga members. It was actually a new Nemiga member known as LOLIPOP, formerly of Flipside Tactics, and alongside his current teammate that was Fast. Apparently it was actually Fast throwing games against LOLIPOP to actually boost him in FPL. So apparently, also on top of that, we had LOLIPOP who won 16 FPL matches in like one day, so it was kind of sketchy looking at the time, as well as we had Faceit Mikey actually accusing LOLIPOP of lying and that kind of stuff. Again, some allegations out there that were thrown out there. We actually had LOLIPOP take to Twitter to defend himself, and they have been cleared off the table. Now, Fast, apparently, he actually was throwing matches, or at least having unsportsmanlike conduct. Going forward, it will be Fast apparently banned from FPL for 6 months, and apparently LOLIPOP will be cleared of all allegations. He'll continue to compete in FPL as well. And alongside that, Brokey was actually on Fast's team when Fast was allegedly throwing, or not being, I guess you could say he was being unsportsmanlike. So Brokey will actually retain his spot FPL as well as LOLIPOP, and going forward, it seems that they were not lying, and Team Nemiga, although Fast apparently throws FPL matches, LOLIPOP was not. So LOLIPOP has been cleared, guys. He is free to complete and free to compete actually in those Faceit matches from now on. And very lastly, wrapping up with some last 2 stories for all of you guys in today's episode of CSGO News. First off, we do have Launders posting a huge twit longer. If you guys have wondered where Launders was, of course, he goes into great detail. I'm not going to give you guys a full TLDR, but pretty much after he was actually laid off from his job at Yahoo after 3 years. He was given a large severance package. He took advantage of that, of course, starting the brand Boxer, his clothing company, and alongside that, doing some other freelance stuff on the side. It does seem he's going to be coming back to casting sometime in the future. If you guys want to read that full detailed twit longer, it'll be linked down below. But also as well, on top of that, guys, we do have no one really talking about this. In Monsoon Madness, we had a Grand Slam finals going on with OpTic India, the Indian OpTic team. No one talked about it. They did win the actual ultimate they called it a Grand Slam or the Grand Finals over there, and they did come away with the victory, although people probably aren't talking about it because apparently it was like less than $200 Grand Slam prize. But hey, it's looking up. Honestly, I mean, a win's a win. That's really cool to see the team is actually still competing and actually still has a good following. So I cannot wait to see what the future of this team is. I think there's been not too many questions because when they fully announced this OpTic India roster, still no one really cared about it. And I think we're probably still in the same boat. I don't mean to be offensive when I say that, but I'm actually very curious to see how this team can actually make its way towards other qualifiers, towards bigger qualifiers, and if we'll see them in the future and if they'll make roster changes. It seems like that kind of scene has been kind of hidden away from us because it's definitely a lower tier scene, but where their tier falls is a big question. So OpTic India does win Monsoon Madness, a very, very small prize pool, very, very small tournament over there, but a win is a win, and that was in cool news. But also, very last for today's episode of CSGO News, guys, I do believe, thanks to Sam on Instagram, who pointed this out to me, a good friend of mine, which I'll make a video with him sometime in the future. You guys will know it when it's here. He actually announced, I think it's actually the Faceit trade deadline is actually today. The roster lock is today. It should be August 5th. So we should I guess maybe by the end of this video, maybe by after this video, we should be finding out some brand new rosters out there. Most notably, though, I guess you could say pretty much the only roster we're looking to solidify right now, of course, is Cloud9. So trade lock, roster deadline, I always get that messed up. But it should be today. Will they go with Shroud? Will they go with nothing? Most likely not, but I guess I could tell you guys it's a slim possibility they could bring those two guys back. I mean, it'd be a definite, I guess you could say definite, weird moment for Cloud9 that we're certainly in right now. Of course, them only having half a roster. I think most notably, you guys know this, they'll probably go with Golden and Sticko for the major. That's probably their best solidified option, the players they've actually played the most with. If they do choose anyone else, I'm even more worried than I currently am. I'm not going to talk about North American CSGO right now. You guys know my standpoint on that with the current broken teams we have. MIBR, new roster, new coach. Cloud9, half a roster. Liquid looking, I guess you could say, very, very inconsistent, although coming off some good results, I guess, very recently. I don't know. It's just been, it's an oddball. It's a whirlwind of teams out there, and the only teams we can really depend on right now, besides Cloud9, MIBR being totally broken, we have Liquid super inconsistent, and then we have Rogue and Complex. I'm not going to rant about this. I hope you guys all enjoyed today's episode of CSGO News. I will see you all very soon, and especially, again, remember guys, today's the trade lock, so we're going to have some big announcements hopefully soon for teams like Cloud9. I hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you all sometime soon. My name is Jake. Goodbye, guys.